currently I'm just working on doing light-based installations. That's what I've been working on for the past 20 years anyhow. But I was working much more with painting as well, and but it's moved further into just working with light and the experiential aspects. And I think that bounces back into life. Life as the artist and what you do. It's not necessarily so focused on necessarily the studio. The studio is an important aspect, but it's the bigger picture of how you live and how life comes in and out of the studio. What's the challenge? The meaning of life, I mean, it's I feel it's in ways endless cycles of repetition, but we each need to make our own way into a different sort of path, that we make our own way through making a difference, because we feel that we need to make our own mark, I guess, in a way, and that we want to also contribute, however big or small. And sometimes people react against that as well in negative ways as well as positive ways. But also, if you're aware of that, there's this endless cycle, and also about cosmology, that there's like a bigger picture than our own selves, that really the meaning can be quite abstract and quite removed from our own individual selves, and it's very hard to actually place a concrete meaning on what that is. So throughout our life we change, and that we need to develop changes and allow for changes as best we can to sort of contribute a meaning, and that might change at different stages in life. Yes, there's always been this thing where there's great injustice in the world, and it's kind of become much more prevalent now because there's so much population and so much different economic structures within the world and different systems. So much is changing so rapidly as well, that what was once a given standard career, that's no longer there. We don't live through like a vocation, that idea. That's a drastically changed thing. We have to be very flexible and adaptable, but what I hope for really is that it really is just a much more fair and equal and just society, one where things are actually shared better between people, across people, and we must be able to do this. It's despite all the wars and all the fighting, and that's really is unnecessary in today's world, really. And really we should be looking at demilitarization, socialist democracy, really, and how to facilitate that, and sharing resources fairly, and looking at greater ecological systems. How you do that is not an easy solution. None of it's easy. So saying that it's a hope, but at the same point it's something that we should be striving towards for everyone. On the current situation within Thailand, I mean, democracy is a very strange concept in itself, and it's not a pure democratic system from the outset, but the recent changes with the bill and the cabinet, that's like almost like a coercive, like co-opted structural system. Myself being a foreigner here, I'm in a slightly different position because I can't really engage with it through voting and through politics, and generally we're sort of also aware of the situation where you can't be too vocal, and I think most Thais are in the same situation about this. So there's a lot of self-censorship, but through that, through doing art, you also build sort of a mass of people that you situate yourself around, where you talk about events and you can talk about things more openly. And I think that's where art's really important, because you can engage with people over various topics and share details, information, and reflect on change. And the work itself doesn't necessarily have to be political in itself to actually be active. Saying that there's many people and many artists that actually are, and that's a whole role in itself. And within Thailand and the art scene, there's a sort of this bipolar or cross split between sides, and gets to this like separatist thing, which is necessary to a point because it's so extreme here in some ways in terms of viewpoints, because everyone seems that this is right and that's right, and then there's because of the self-censorship, there's such a few or small grounds where people can just share and talk openly about their views openly through the censorship that people have done, and that's a structural and a societal one where the people who goes, oh, you can't say that, even though when you're with people with shared views. That's something I've witnessed here, but in regards to that, you still do the work that you've got to do, and you push through even under these sort of weird political times or weird situations that somehow just don't make sense, and they're sort of surreal in a way, so somehow you have to just laugh at it. In a weird way, democracy in Thailand is almost a joke in itself. I mean, it's like from an international perspective, it's sort of been a long-standing joke, but I think political influence from outside negotiating things to improve, there's been a lot of removal across the board internationally, but specifically in Thailand, I think.